Welcome to Chapter 8. In this screencast, we will review the layout of the CPT-4 codebook with some examples of how to look up CPT codes, and then I will end with an explanation about modifiers. So with the CPT book, it's divided into three categories. Category 1 is assigned for procedures and services. Category 2 is tracking codes designed for the measurement of performance improvement. And Category 3 codes, they're actually temporary codes for new and emerging technologies or procedures. The CPT book is organized into 6 major sections. So we have your evaluation and management, or you'll hear it known as E&M codes, anesthesiology, the surgery codes, which is the biggest section of the CPT book, radiology, pathology and lab, and medicine. And the CPT guidelines, they are presented at the beginning of each of those 6 sections we just talked about. And these guidelines provide information necessary to appropriately interpret and report the procedures and services contained in each of those sections. And in addition to the guidelines, several subheadings or subsections also have special instructions unique to that section. And reading these guidelines are critical to using CPT correctly, as well as for proper reimbursement. The format of CPT-4, it was developed as standalone with descriptions for each procedure. To conserve space, some are not printed to their entirety, those descriptions, but they refer back to that common portion that is listed in the preceding entry. So an example would be these 2 codes. So 25100, arthrotomy of the wrist joint with a semicolon for biopsy. And 25105 just says for synovectomy. So how would we read 25105? We would read it with arthrotomy of the wrist joint for synovectomy. So the starting point in getting to our CPT code, we are going to start in the alphabetic index, which is in the back of the manual, and it is organized by the main term. So some of these main terms, it could be procedure or service. So like an appendectomy is an example. It can be organized by your organ or the anatomical site. Example would be elbow. The condition, abdominal abscess, your synonyms, eponyms, or common abbreviations. So a synonym would be bucca, meaning cheek, a Whitman procedure for eponym, so those are those procedures that are named after people, or a common abbreviation, so like a CABG, coronary artery bypass graft. The alphabetic index is not a substitute for the main text of the CPT manual. Always look up procedure codes that are found in the alphabetic index in the tabular index. Even if only one code appears in the alphabetic index when you're looking up your main term, the coder must refer to that tabular index to ensure correct code selection is accurate. Never, ever, ever do we code from the alphabetic index, just as the same with ICD-9 diagnoses. So here's just a list of some CPT symbols. I'm not going to go into great detail. They are in your manual or in your textbook. That gives a lot more descriptions of them. So there's some more CPT symbols, and here's just a quick snapshot of what they would look like. So the use of a semicolon for 11000, you can see for debridement. The use of the plus, so an add-on code. The use of this symbol for the modifier 51 exemption, so modifier 51 would not be allowed to be used with this code, and the use of the bullseye symbol for that new technology. And then just separate procedures should not be reported in addition to the code for a total procedure or service of which it is considered an integral component. If it is performed independently, modifier 59 can be used.